If you want an easier way to schedule meetings with your clients, coworkers, or business partners, then you've come to the right video, because in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Calendly, which is a really powerful scheduling software that will make your life easier. Calendly allows you to send out a scheduling link to your clients or coworkers, where they will access a beautiful interface that will allow them to book a meeting with you. And this interface also takes into consideration the meetings that you already have in your calendar, so that there are no conflicts with meetings that you already have. And it gives you really powerful and flexible options to manage your calendar. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, as with pretty much any other software tool, you will have to create an account in order to use the Calendly features. And there are different account options that I want to go over with you really quickly so that you know which account best to choose for your situation. So obviously there is a free account, which gives you really basic capabilities that will help you get started. And this is already quite a good plan. So you can connect one calendar, you have the personalized booking link, and you can make like one-on-one event types or one-on-one meetings with your clients and coworkers. Now, then there's also the premium plan, which is like the standard paid plan, which I actually use. And this then also gives you the ability to have these group or collective meetings or round robin events, which is also quite nice, because this allows you, to have events with different people, with more than one person, which can be really helpful for many people. And then there's also like the last version that's relevant for most people, which is the Pro version, which will give you access to a bit more features. For example, you will be able to have workflows, which are like automated like workflows inside of Calendly that kind of determine how the flow of the event is. So they will automatically send out like email invites or things like this, and follow-up emails based on what you define. So this can also be really powerful for people that have like want to have more capabilities. And there are also some other features that are really useful in this plan, which is the connection to tools like Salesforce, HubSpot, so to your CRM software, to MailChimp, or also you can collect payments with this plan. You can track your meeting conversions, for example, with Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel, things like this. So this can really be helpful for some people, and you also get advanced, branding options as well. But I would actually recommend that you choose the basic plan if you just want to get started, and the premium plan if you want to follow along with the video and what I'm doing, because I'm actually using the premium plan, and therefore I have access to the premium features. So just sign up for the account that makes most sense for you, and then I'll see you inside of Calendly. All right, so now I'm in my Calendly account, and the first thing that we want to do is to connect our calendar, because this is the single biggest and most important feature that Calendly has to offer, which is to kind of check our calendar to see if an event would interfere with that calendar. So let's go to account and then go to calendar connections. And this is then where we can set up the calendar accounts. Now you see that I have set up these two accounts here. You can add a calendar account up here, and depending on your plan, you can add a different number of accounts. So in my case, I have two, but you could also have just one or even more than that. And what's really important here is this configuration down here. So first of all, there's this check for conflicts option. So these are the calendars where the conflicts will be checked. So this is where Calendly will look into, and if someone tries to book a meeting for a certain time, and this is a time that has already been blocked in one of these calendars, then it will not be possible to book a meeting for that time. And then down here, this is the calendar that Calendly will actually add these events to. So this is where events will go that were booked through Calendly. The next thing that I would encourage you to do is to go to your account page, and here go to account settings, because this is where you'll be able to customize your actual Calendly page where people can book your meetings. And actually, let me show you how this looks. So I'm going to go into a new tab, and here I'm going to open this page. So this is my Calendly link in here, and if I click on this, you'll see that we get redirected to this page. So this is my Calendly page, and here I have these different meetings. And also, you know, I have this profile picture, I have my name, and I have like this little message in here. And this is actually how like the interface is going to look for people that want to book a meeting with you. So if I click on this call here, this is what they'll see, and then they will be able to, you know, look up a time and like then book a meeting with you. So that's what you can customize here. This is where you can update your profile picture, your name, your like welcome message. Also, you can update the language. So this is all the the language that all the Calendly interface will be written in. So I would encourage you to use the language that your client uses, or that the people that you want to send these events to uses, obviously. And then also you could add in the date format, the country, the time zone, and things like this. Down in the branding tab, you can also upload your logo. So this is what we saw on the page right here. This is the logo right there. Yeah, this is what you can upload in here. And then you can also customize your link. So you see my link is just calendly.com/Janosch Herman, but you could also enter in your company name or things like this. Now with that out of the way, let's create our own first meeting type or event type in Calendly. And we can do that by going to create up here. And then we have the option to choose either event type or one-off meeting. And a one-off meeting would be like a link for one actual meeting, like one single booking that you can send to a single person. So if you don't want people to repeatedly book the same meeting with you, you can do this one-off meeting, because then the link will expire after it's been booked once. But for now, let's choose the event type, which is probably the main type of meeting that you want to use in Calendly. And if you click on this, then it will load, and then we can also choose the event type that we want to have. Now you see that I have these two types available, but there are also these other two types, and these are only available for teams, because in these cases you need multiple people on one Calendly plan to make this possible. Now up here we have the one-on-one meeting, which is like the basic, like the classic meeting type, and then we also have a group meeting, which lets multiple invitees meet with you at one time. So in this case, you have an event that multiple people can book with you at a single time. For example, if you have like a group coaching call, for example, this would be a great event type for that. But let's go with the one-on-one meeting, and let's click on create in this case. Now let's go through all the options that we have here. So the first thing, which is actually really important, is up here. This is the invitee language. So you can choose here which language your invitee is spoken to, and again how the Calendly interface looks. So you could say, if this is a meeting type that you want to send only to your French clients, then you could say make this French, and then you could also write everything in French in here. But let's keep it in English for now. And then for the event type, we'll just say consulting call. Because that just makes sense. Now next up, we can choose a location, which is kind of like where this meeting will take place. And here you can actually use many different options. You could have an in-person meeting, so you could add an address or a place to this meeting. For example, if you have like a consulting business and you have an office where clients will have to come to, then you could have an event type for your clients that's in person, and then the client will actually be sent the address where they have to go to, so you don't have to tell them over and over again. So this is useful in these cases. You could have a phone call as well, which is also quite nice. But what I usually choose is something like Zoom or Google Meet. In my case, Google Meet actually, because this makes it really easy, for me to connect with them. And also what it does is it will automatically create a Google Meet link that the invitee will get sent before the event, which means that it's really easy for them to access the Google Meet event, and I don't have to send out the link again, things like this. So this is where, again, Calendly makes your life really easy. You could also add a location option if you wanted to, but that's not relevant for now. And then you could add a description. So this is what people will see about like the event. You could also add instructions here if you wanted to. In our case, let's just say in this 60-minute call, we will discuss your project. So really generic here. And also actually what I want to do is in the event name, I'll actually add 60 minutes as well. So this is, to indicate how long the event is going to be. Lastly, we can also customize the event link. So let's actually just choose consulting call like this. And then for the event color, let's go with, with red in this case. This really doesn't matter. It's just for yourself, to see. This makes no difference whatsoever about the actual event. All right, so now we can actually click next because we have set up all the options. Oh, okay, and so consulting call has already been taken by another meeting. So I'm just going to go with consulting call 1 again. And then I'm going to click on next, and we're going to go to the next options. So here we can specify additional options and settings of this event. For example, we can determine how many days into the future this event can actually be booked. For example, if you maybe don't know what you're actually going to be doing in like 3 months, then you maybe don't want people to book an event or like a meeting in 3 months, because maybe then at that point you realize that you don't have time in that time slot. And so you can kind of control how many days into the future people can schedule this event. You could also say within a date range. So you could say that people can only book this meeting in a certain date range, and you could also say they can book it indefinitely into the future. This really depends on what is like best for you. And then next you can set the duration. So we said 60 minutes, so that's also what we're going to be setting up in here. Now next you can also set when this meeting is actually available for clients to book. This is also really helpful because it allows you to kind of contain the calls and events into the working hours that you want to have. So that people, for example, can book this meeting at 9 p.m. in the evening if that isn't a time where you want to work. And you can either use an existing schedule, so you can define these different schedules, or you can set custom hours for this event. And let me actually show you, the different schedules that you can create. You can have this in this option, like up here in the availability menu, you can create these different schedules. So I have like the standard hours, I have this Let's Connect schedule, I have the special event schedule, for example, and I could create additional schedules if I wanted to. And these will be available in here, so I can set whenever I want this specific meeting type to be available. The next option here is to add a buffer before and after the event. So, in here you could say you want a certain time frame before and after a certain event that you can't be booked in. So for example, if one meeting goes from 9 to 10 and then you maybe without this, somebody could book a meeting directly at 10. And if that's something that you don't want to happen, then you could say that you want to have maybe 15 minutes of time after each event. So then the earliest time somebody else could book a meeting would be 10:15. So you'd have between 10 and 10:15 to kind of take a break and recover and maybe prepare for the next meeting. So this is also really helpful. Now let's go to the last additional rules for your availability, which are some additional rules that you can have. The first one is the start time increments. So this basically means how often the event starts. And if it's set to 30 minutes, then people will only be able to book the event in these 30-minute intervals. So people will only be able to book at 10 p.m. or at 10 a.m., at 10:30 a.m., at 11 a.m. And if you change this, for example, to 5 minutes, well, then people would be able to book it at 10 a.m., at 10:05, at 10:10, for example, or at 10:15, in these 5-minute intervals. And if that's something you want to do, you can change it in here. The next conditions are again really useful. First of all, you can say people have to schedule the event a certain time before the event actually happens. So in this case, invitees can schedule the meeting, less than 4 hours before the actual meeting. And I usually actually set this to 1 day before the meeting, so that I really have time to prepare for the meeting, and so that I don't get overwhelmed with meetings that are directly booked on the day that they actually happen. And this is really useful. And also you can have a maximum amount of meetings of a certain type in any given day, if that again is something that is useful to you. Now the time zone settings, I would usually just leave that at the automatically detect option, again only if you have no in-person events. Lock the time zone, as it says in here, this is the best option for in-person events, but otherwise you would just use the first option. And lastly, you have the option to make the event secret. secret. So that means that the event will not appear on your main Calendly page, your booking page, but it will only be available to the people that you actually sent the event link to. And again, I can show you this if I go back to home, because you see my meeting types in here as well. I have this Let's Connect call, and you see like this this little not visible icon in here, and also the sales call demo. These are invisible calls, and that means that they aren't like appearing on my page here. So you only see the call 30 minutes and the call 60 minutes option here, but you don't see these, and that's because they're hidden. And you know, I can share them still by copying the link and then sending that link to the person that I want to schedule the meeting with. All right, so that's it for these settings. Now let's click on next, and now we're done with the basics of the meeting. Now there are still options that we have for setting up these event types, and I really recommend that you go through this step by step, because you really have to set this up once, and then you will, you know, have the benefit of having it set up in the future indefinitely. So if you set it up correctly, then you can save so much time with this in the future. All right, so let's go through some of the additional options that we have down here that are related to like other things like workflow and stuff like that. So first of all, we'll go to invitee questions. And these are basically the fields that an invitee will have to enter in order to book an event. And the default is just the name and the email, which is obviously needed to send, you know, like the invite and things like this, and confirmation to this email. And also you have this like basic notes box in here where people can share notes or like write something down that they want you to know before the meeting. But you could also add additional questions, which could be, you know, a one-line answer, it could be a multi-line, it could be a radio button, a checkbox, a phone number, so all these different things. And you can also make them required. So if you want every invitee to maybe give you their phone number, you could just choose a phone number box, click on required, and then they would also have to enter in their phone number in order to schedule the event. And this can be really helpful if you want, you know, to learn more about the person that you're doing this event with before they actually book the call. For example, if you do sales calls with potential leads for your company, then maybe you want to have additional options or additional knowledge of them before they actually get into the event. Next up, we have workflows, which is a pro feature. So this is something that I also don't use myself, so I can't show you this, but what I use instead is Zapier automations that are like, they do pretty much the same thing, and they can help in these cases as well. But if you want to explore this, I can actually make a video on these workflows as well if you want to. You just have to let me know in the comments if that's interesting to you. But we'll actually go to the next step, which is the notifications and cancellation policy. In here you have many different options as well that are really useful. The first one is how the invitation is actually being sent to the person. So there's the option to send email confirmations, and there's also the option, if you like switch, to use calendar invitations, which is what I usually use. And you can actually even personalize how they look and how they're being sent to the users. So you know, you could add in a different text in here. You have these different variables available to you, so the full name of the invitee and other data in here, so you can customize how this invitation is going to look when it's being sent to the user. Next up, you can also add email reminders. So this will, you know, remind the person of the event before it actually happens. And you could also have an email follow-up, which means that after the event at some time, like an email will get sent to the client or to the coworker, maybe, you know, to let them provide some feedback or to tell them how great the meeting was, things like this. Again, you can personalize all of this, and you can also say when you want this to be sent to the user. And lastly, if you actually got the phone number from the person, you could also send text reminders if that's something that's interesting to you, but we're not going to worry about that right now. The cancellation policy, you could have a cancellation policy in here for people if you want to have that. Again, that's not really relevant for most people, so I'm going to leave this out. and we're going to cancel this and go out of here. Now, lastly, for the confirmation page, if you have a premium plan, you could redirect people to an external site. Again, I can't do this because this is a pro feature, but this is something you could do with the pro plan, for example. And then lastly, again, going out of here, you could also collect payments directly through Calendly if that's something that's interesting to you. For example, if you have a consulting business and you want people to pay for the consulting calls right when they actually book them, then this is perfect for you. Again, you would need to have the pro feature, like the pro plan, but then you could add a step in here, and then people would be able to pay for the consulting calls right when they book them. All right, and so we now have created our own event type in Calendly. Let's click on the View Live Page option and see how this actually looks. So in here we see everything that we added. We see the title, we see how long it is, we see that it is a Google Meet event, and we also have our description. Now, if we go to a certain day, we can now specify the day, like the time that we want this to start. And here you see the time increments that we added. So we changed this from 30 minutes to 5 minutes. And so I can actually book this meeting now every 5 minutes. So I can book it at 4 p.m. I can book it at 4:05 and so on. This is something that we changed. If I click on this and click confirm, here I have to enter in my information. I have to enter in the name, the email. I can add guests in here if I want to. So I add different guest emails. And then I have to fill out this, or like I can fill out this field in here, which gives me gives the person that is hosting the meeting the option to get some more information. Now I'm just going to fill this out real quick, and then we'll see how this will actually look in your own email accounts, both for the person that is booking the meeting and also for the person that is confirming the meeting. All right, so it's filled out now, and let's schedule this event and see what happens. All right, so here we see that the meeting has been confirmed, and now I can go into my email account to see how this actually looks for us. And in here we actually see it from the perspective of the person that has the Calendly account. So we see this new event has just been scheduled here. And if I click on this, you see all the information. We see the invitee name, we see the email, we see the time, the description, and also the location. And this link will be in here, so you can then directly join this later. And also, let me quickly go to my Google Calendar, and because there you'll also see, that here you see this event has just been scheduled, so it's been automatically added to my Google Calendar as well. And this means that now I can, go to this event. It will be in my calendar. I will get a notification for it, and I can just join with Google Meet. And the other person can join this way as well, and then we both, can access the meeting without any other need for back and forth and kind of organizing this. So it's really straightforward and really easy for both sides this way. Now, the last thing that I want to quickly share with you is the Calendly Chrome extension, because this is another really helpful tool that allows you to, send out these links faster. It's just a simple Chrome extension that is available in the Chrome Web Store. And if I click on this, you see I have all my different meeting types in here. And this way I can just quickly copy the link and paste it somewhere, send it to somebody, and then they can go to that link, get to the page, and then book that specific call that I got from the Chrome extension. Now I could obviously also, get a link for my my entire page. This should be up here. Yeah, so I copy the link right here, and if I paste this in now, like this, then you will get to my actual main page, and you will be able to choose one of the meeting types that are available right here. So now there's also the consulting call that we just added. And the same is also available for Gmail. So if you have the Gmail extension in your Google Workspace organization, then you can go in here, you see this little button, you can click on this, go to event types, and here you'll see your recently used event types. You could copy the link and then just paste it in here. Or you could also go to all event types, then you will open up the Chrome extension and you'll see all the other event types. And also you could create a new ad hoc meeting, which will then open up, the calendar, and then you will be able to schedule that at a certain time. You'll choose the location, the duration, and then that makes sense, and you can just send out that link to the person that you want this ad hoc meeting to be with. All right, so that's it for this extensive guide on Calendly. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful for you to kind of get a feel for how Calendly works and how you can set up your own events using the tool. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want to learn more about future updates of Calendly and other cool software tools, how you can automate your work, and how you can become more productive, then you can also check out my email list, which will be linked down in the description down below, where I share a monthly newsletter with tips and tricks on how to become more productive, cool software updates for Calendly, Zapier, Notion, Todoist, and all these other different tools that you probably also use. So if that sounds interesting to you, then check that out, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.